clout chaser.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
You're not you're not the Superman anymore.
I'm a Superman clout chaser that would kiss Ethan Ralph's anus for $350. Oh wait, that's not me. That's somebody else. Never mind. We live?
Yeah, nearly. Alphabet Cat says in chat, Grand Canyon 2, The Wrath of Chasm.
Wait, are we live?
We are
live.
We live.
Oh, we're live.
We are
okay,
live.
I didn't even do the intro.
We've been live for 30 seconds. We're doing the intro now.
Is there anything the back chat needs to be repeated or not?
Not yet. Looks like Podwinson is fronted. Godwinson's trying to live. Alphabet Cat says you are live, guys.
Oh, okay.
Live?
Are we live?
Yep.
Are we live?
Well, you know,
we are live.
This episode's turned out to be as big as the Grand Canyon because we're doing a second part of it.
Yeah.
Grand Canyon 2, Canyons Go Wild.
Canyon harder.
Yeah.
Canyon Day.
So why are there Egyptian hieroglyphs in the canyon? Did anybody answer that? Or was it just like...
I think
they weren't Egyptian, were they?
Yeah.
Just sweep it under the rug and ignore it.
Are we doing the if you didn't last week
on last episode?
Last week on.
Yeah.
What in times?
Oh yeah, and wasn't there a thing about there's this pyramid in the Grand Canyon, but don't worry guys, it was just caused by natural erosion of the water.
I don't think we did that either,
90 degrees angles.
Did we do that?
I definitely remember
you mentioned it in passing, I think, but I think
because I wanted you to talk about.
You mentioned it.
I wanted you to talk about quartz, but you were absolutely determined not to talk about quartz last week.
Oh, we don't talk about the quartz demons.
Because we've got some ghost stories. We got another explorer. We've got some missing people.
Oh, actually, we have talked in depth about quartz.
Yeah.
We did quartz on another show, didn't we?
Jerk-off crystals, no?
Yeah, not just jerk-off crystals, but also...
Hobbit's the new Graham Hancock. Yeah, I've got a Graham Hancock book to read. He's the one that wrote that Ark book that I want to read. No, but the reviews aren't very good. Is Graham
Hancock or is it Rupert Sheldrake? But one or the other said that they went and did some ayahuasca... And there was this. It was revealed to them.
It's Joe Rogan. Speaking of that, it's Joe Rogan's favourite day today, isn't it? 420.
Oh, what is he? Is he a Hitlerist? Oh,
no, the other one.
Yeah, he's a skinhead, isn't he?
The Yank one. The Yank one.
So he's a skinhead. He loves Adolf Hitler's birthday.
No, 420. Think of like day. Think of month, day, year. Hobbit. 420.
To celebrate his birthday, he makes puffs of smoke to celebrate the terrible tragedy or the gas and the ovens.
When Joe Rogan has a celebration, does he just stay sober? I'm gonna get totally sober, dude. I'm gonna be fucking sober out my mind.
Is it gonna be like when Father Jack Haggett goes sober and it's like, oh, don't tell me I'm still on that fucking island.
just Joe Rogan. I'm gonna be so fucking sober, dude. I'm gonna be more sober than anyone else, dude.
Circling back, I think it's Graham Hancock. Ayahuasca trip. It was revealed to him. It's like, hey, you smoking weed is actually making you really angry and irritable. You should stop doing it. So he stopped doing it.
Anyone remember the big betrayal from fucking Joe Rogan when he cooked to NASA? That was
Well, did he?
Yeah, he was like, all right, NASA, prove it to me. Prove to me that
that episode of
a week later. Yeah, he was like, oh, I love NASA now.
Like that. I'm sure this is going to set Hobbit off, but do you like that episode of Mythbusters? Do you remember the space episode? Where they're debunking. Do you remember they were debunking?
I stopped watching them after their 11th of September episodes.
Yeah, they did. Debunking, didn't they?
Oh, no. Did they do jet fuel melt steel buildings?
Yeah, there was here's a steel beam, here's jet fuel, and oh, look, it's totally melted. We didn't just fake that or anything.
We didn't just cut this. Were there any
You
cuts
just
in it?
do a jump cut and, like, you know, it's cut to when it's like, don't look at the angle grinder cuts.
We're debunking.
It's myth busted.
Myth debunked.
I didn't actually watch that, to be honest. The only one I actually watched was the elevator one, where they were debunking if you jumped just before it hit, you'd survive. That's the only one I ever watched.
Well, so they did the Jaws special, didn't they? Because at some point, I think they'd like couldn't be bothered to do the mundane stuff anymore, so they just started debunking films, didn't they? Because they debunked Deep Blue Sea with the batteries and the explosion, didn't they?
Fucking no fun allowed, crew. Yeah. Police.
Myth debunkers. Jamie, I'm debunking. Those two had a big fallout, didn't they, Jamie and Adam, I think?
Did they?
Yeah, I don't think they talk anymore.
I was lost.
Maybe Jamie was more into less into debunking. He thought he looked pretty based, didn't he, Jamie? So he probably said.
Well, there's only so many myths, really, and it did go on for a while. So maybe they ran out and fucking missed the debunk.
And then they had the Burger King Kids Club, didn't they?
Did they? What was that?
Yeah, don't you remember the ginger bird, the chinky guy, and the other guy, the soy guy?
I think I tuned out before.
You missed all that then. That one.
Yeah. Yeah.
As Alphabet Cat says, Rogan cucked on the moon landings. He just likes the Spotify money for his weed.
Yeah, that's it. And he wanted to be UFC fucking analyst or whatever it was, wasn't it? Yeah, you know.
So right, should we do the
doors open when you cover up the crimes of the rich and powerful?
Should we do some content now? Should we do the crazy true crew story? It's fucking crazy. It's fucking mental.
Crazy crew story. Crazy
fucking
crew.
The absolutely fucking off the chain story of the 1869 expedition to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
A fucking absolute mad lad. Scientist. I'm sure we're going to find out that he's probably another Joseph Paxton. May 1869.
Maybe.
May 1869. Scientist and war veteran. Hobbit, if you want to read along, it's in the back chat.
Oh, cheers.
John Wesley Powell, together with 9 men and 4 rowboats.
Rowboats?
Why has he got 9 men and 4 boats? No, maths is off.
That means one of them has to triple up, right? I feel sorry for that boat.
No, 9 men and 4. No, that's. Oh yeah, shit.
Should we name the guys? Like, one of them's going to be Fat Ed, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be a fat guy, and that guy's going to go going to have to go in one of the boats. I wonder if they pulled straws for that.
9 men and 4 rowboats. I bet they kept him at the back, not in the middle, not on one side. Began the journey down the Colorado River with the intent of mapping the then unknown territory. For the first time recorded in history, a group of white men.
Hold on. Wait, whoa. Why is it unknown? Scratch his chin.
Well, Columbus got there in fucking 1492. They should have done something by then, shouldn't they?
I mean, the Spanish should have been to California in the 1500s. What? Interesting.
For the first time recorded in history, a group of white men attempted to fucking white men. Am I right? Attempted to traverse the whole length of the Grand Canyon with very. This is like one of those first disabled blind person walking backwards down the Grand Canyon with very little knowledge of the area, antiquated instruments. Well, they weren't antiquated at the time, were they?
No, were they? What was he going with? Paper cups and string or something? What was he doing?
What's the name?
What is that? What, medieval fucking armour or something? What's he doing with? Antiquated at the time.
Like, me use rock to find way.
Were they antiquated by modern standards or antiquated by 1869, where he'd literally just gone around a few jumble sales and got the kit together? But still, like 1869, they'd still have oil lamps, they'd have guns, they'd have a compass. Like it's it's not exactly like they couldn't do it.
No, he's got a mammoth tusk filled with like burning tallow.
I just love minimal safety precautions. Fuck, no high vis. Oh, shit.
No. Health and safety, guys. Go on, you can't do that nowadays.
Didn't
even dangerous.
Didn't even go with a cost sheet, did they? Fucking journalist, man.
Do you have a fire extinguisher with you, just in case there's a fire?
Yeah. Just we're on a fucking river. We don't need one.
What if your boat magically combusts in the river? How are you going to put it out? What if Fat Ed sits on the candle, mate, and he fucking sets fire to the boat, right? You know.
What if what if someone actually accidentally tips over the leaf with a needle in it that they're using as a compass?
Antiquated equipment, then.
Antiquated equipment. I don't know whether it's antiquated by 1869 standards or antiquated by current standards.
Is this a racist canard? Did they just have like a bunch of blacks in chains leading them around?
Fucking white men, eh?
They probably did racist
because it was white men before current year, so probably.
Yeah.
What they don't tell you is that there's 4 boats and 9 men. They didn't actually count the slaves.
Count the slaves. They're counted as property, right? They're just the instrument. They're the antiquated instruments, aren't they? Yeah.
Oh dear. The party embarked on what many considered to be a hopeless and suicidal expedition. Obviously, because they had departed with a rock and a mammoth tusk with some burning tallow in it.
30,000 black slaves.
Yeah. Did they just do like Naked and Afraid, where they just had a couple of boats and just fucked off like naked, and they can only wear what they find on the way?
Oh, okay, now.
The crew departed from Green River, Wyoming on May the 24th, travelling for 99 days and covering over 1,000 miles through high-walled and narrow passages, raging currents and steep river rapids. During the trip, they lost a boat. Well, that's just careless, isn't it? As well as most of their equipment. Most of their equipment, which was fucking useless anyway, because it was just old shit. And food supplies.
Wait, hold on. No, this is a crime. 30,000 black slaves died. Drowned.
And food supplies. They endured heat, rain and hunger, exposed to the elements and dangers of an unforgiving landscape. Not all the explorers who started the trip would make it out of the canyon on August the 30th. Well, you just told us people died, so obviously less gone back than went there.
Oh, don't spoil it for me.
Spoilers, yeah.
I just fucking... the name of the next chapter is Mint. On August 30th at the mouth of the Virgin River in Nevada. This is the crazy true story of the 1869 Grand Canyon expedition and experiment and the courageous men who undertook it. Well, you told us they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They weren't courageous. They were stupid. Here's the headline. Expedition leader John Powell was self-taught scientist with one arm. What, in his back pocket or something? Just always carried one around with him. Hobbit, would you like to... Does having one arm affect your scientific knowledge?
Yeah. You can't be a top virologist with only one arm. Stella Artois proved that. By the way, that's been scientifically formulated to make white people...
Hold on, right? How are you going to traverse like steep canyon walls with one arm?
Well, he wasn't, was he? It was basic.
Don't worry about it.
It was just rapids, weren't it?
It was just rapids. How are you going to swim against rapids?
Fucking hell, look at this picture. The postage stamp. He's pointing the way with his non-arm. Hold on, I've got to put this up. This is like, what the fuck? Right, so let's put this one up.
I'm getting Joseph Paxton vibes.
Why are we always? Why is it always another Joseph Paxton that we're adding?
Joseph Paxton, he's a hero.
Yeah, look. So if you look at the picture that I've just put up, he's pointing the way with his non-arm. Oh, look over there.
No, yeah.
Point with the other arm. Look, hey, over there, lads.
Over there,
There!
lads.
You've got one arm, you stupid cunt.
Hang on.
Pointing,
If he's
can't
only
you
got-
see?
If he's only got one arm, what's he pointing with? That looks like an arm.
Just his stump. He's just like, over there. Fucking where? There, look, over there, where I'm pointing. You ain't got an arm, you twat.
At least his mother never accused him of, like, you know, it's rude to point, right?
We'll find out. So in 1860, you know, what was it from The Simpsons? Remember, when your teacher tells you not to put your arm outside the bus, don't put your arm outside the bus. In 1869, when he led his first expedition down the Colorado River, John Wesley Powell, a self-taught scientist, and I love this self-taught shit. He's not accredited. Oh fuck! Well, he obviously knows nothing. Then
You're just a stooge for the establishment. Then
Yeah.
you believe that people need a piece of paper to be qualified. This guy knew what he was doing. Yeah.
Self-appointed. Self-taught scientist and a college professor, was 35 years. Fucking hell, he was 35 years old. Jesus Christ, he looks 80.
What?
That was a fucking rough 35 years. Born in New York in 1834 and raised in Ohio and Wisconsin, he was the son of a missionary and a poor itinerant preacher. As a young man, Powell preferred to venture on his own scientific field trips rather than attending college classes at Oberlin, where he was enrolled but never got a degree. By the time he was 25, he'd spent 4 months walking around Wisconsin, had rode the Mississippi from Minnesota to the Gulf of Mexico, and had several rafting trips down the waters of Des Moines, Ohio, and Illinois rivers on Milwaukee reports. So here we go. He's another fucking sold all his Star Wars figures and became an explorer.
So when did he lose his arm, or was he born like that?
That's coming up. Powell.
Okay.
Powell was against slavery, so no slaves died in the expedition.
Okay.
And in 1861, he enlisted in the Union's infantry to fight the Civil War. According to PBS, in 1862, during the Battle of Shiloh, he raised his arm to give the order to fire and was hit by a mini ball. What a way to go!
Don't put your hand in front of the cannon, lad.
Yeah, what's a mini ball, Hobbit?
Safety.
Can you find out what a mini ball is? Mini, as in mini, with an E on the end.
Like Minnie Mouse.
Oh, that's a type of gun.
Yeah, it's a cannon, isn't it? It's like one of those little cannons, right?
Is it? I thought it was like a rifle. Mini ball. Let me have a look. Mini ball. Mini with an accent on it. It's a bullet. It was the first sort of bullet. As in, like, because they figured that. It turns out rounds, they actually work better if they're kind of bullet shaped.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, you know, when I say a bullet, if you got like a that is
it's the aerodynamic.
So is the word round? Is that from like back in the old days when they were ball shaped?
Yeah, round is just an old thing for ammunition. Here, what I'll do is if I go and see the secret thingy, and I post it there, and you get a picture of it, and you go, oh yeah, that's a bullet, and that was it. It was just like literally like, hello, I am a French engineer, and I have worked out the shape that
I've made the mini ball. Oh, so it was kind of
bullet. It is the mini ball.
Oh, it was a bullet then. Okay.
Oh, so it was bullet shaped, but they still did it with the gunpowder and the wedging and everything.
Yeah.
Right. His arm was amputated at the elbow, so that's how he could point without fingers. Per the US Geological Survey, but the loss didn't prevent Powell from returning to the battlefield and later embarking on the expedition. As crew members began history's first documented river descent into the uncharted canyon on May 24th, 1869, some of them had experience with boats, although it looks like boots, doesn't it? But none had experience with whitewater rafting. According to HistoryNet, there were 9 men beside John Powell, his brother Walter, who had already accompanied him on several trips, J.C. Sumner, a marksman and explorer, O.G. Howland, who was obviously O.G., O.G. Howland, a hunter who also printed magazines in Denver. Doesn't say what kind of magazines. Maybe dirty ones. Who knows? His brother, Seneca Howland. Isn't Seneca a bird's name? It's got to be, isn't it?
Seneca. Nah, yeah, it's like Sue, isn't it? Like Sue was a guy's name back in the Old West, wasn't it?
No, it weren't.
It was.
No, Lindsay.
I thought it was Sue.
Lindsay was a boy's name.
Lindsay
and Leslie. What?
Well, we've had some addendums by the chat. So around, that's a complete cartridge. So that's charge, primer, and bullet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Billy Hawkins,
I thought a round was just the round bit.
A war veteran who was brought on as a chef. William Dunn, a trapper and mule packer from Colorado. Frank Goodman, an Englishman in search of adventure. Andrew Hall, an exuberant 19-year-old who had left home for the frontier. Who fucking wrote this?
Here.
Exuberant 19-year-old. And George Bradley, a lieutenant who, tired of spending his time guarding railroad tracks, said he would gladly explore the River Styx if Powell could get him out of the army, as reported by PBS. The Colorado River proved to be nothing short of that. The men carried 4 wooden boats with them.
He's the funny one, isn't he? The railroad guard. He's the comedian of the group.
He's the lad.
Yeah.
The men carried 4 wooden boats with them. The Emma Dean, Kitty Clyde Sisters, Maiden of the Canyon, and No Name. All of them were deep-hulled Whitehall vessels, which were heavy and not suitable for rocky rapids. The U.S. Geological Survey reports. During crossings, the men had to lift the boats themselves and carry them over the shallow waters, but sometimes the current was too violent and they had to use ropes and let the boat slide down. The boats, often flooded, got damaged by the rocks and jammed along the river's bends. On June 9th, they came to the wildest rapid ever seen, a narrow gorge of breaking waves and raging waters. Before they could stop the boats, one of them, the No Name, was swept away by the current and shattered against the rocks below. The men managed Yeah, the No Name is dead. The men managed to swim to safety, but they lost a third of their food supply, 3 of their barometers, and much of their personal belongings. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit, I haven't got my barometer. Tell me, Hobbit, what the fuck do you need a barometer for? On a survey?
To measure the air pressure, right? Oh, no, it's not for air pressure, sorry, it's...
I thought it was a weather thing, because you remember, like the old days, you used to get barometer and clock in the same thing, didn't you?
Yeah, sorry, it is to measure air pressure.
Yeah, it's barometric pressure. Barometric pressure, isn't
Yeah.
it? And much of their personal belongings. It is a serious loss to us, and we are rather low-spirited tonight, wrote George Bradley in his journal, per PBS. They later named the spot Disaster Falls. I see what they did there. During their journey, the group suffered from the heat and quickly rising temperatures. They'd also find themselves caught in torrential rains. Our rations are getting very sour from the constant wetting and exposure to hot sun. I imagine we should be sorry before the trip is up that we took no better care of them, wrote George Bradley in his journal. Oh, they did literally wrap everything in bear fur or whatever the fuck, because they were using such antiquated gear. Besides damaging their food supply, during the night the rain made it almost impossible to keep a fire going, and they were often cold. We sit up all night on the rocks, shivering, and are more exhausted by the night's discomfort than the day's toil, John Powell wrote on August the 17th, as recounted in Seeing Things Whole. Without the barometers, which had gotten lost with the boat, they couldn't measure the altitude and therefore didn't know how far they had gone or how much river was left ahead of them, as the canyon widened and shrank a mile below this surrounding terrain. So they were using the barometer to work out what altitude they were at, Hobbit.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
On June 17th, so why didn't they put a... Well, they obviously didn't fucking think about it.
Not a reliable way to measure altitude.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. Like a barometer's just something you put on your wall and you go, oh, look, that's what the weather might be today. It's not... I don't think it's like a sensitive piece of equipment, is it?
Well, it is, because it measures millibars of difference of an air pressure. I'm just thinking to myself, like, one day to the next. I suppose the only thing is they can be like, well, the weather hasn't changed, and the pressure's changed this much. Yeah, so as the pressure goes up, they can say
but
they're getting lower.
They said the weather was up and down like a tart's knickers, didn't they?
No, well, yeah, that's the thing. I'm just kind of food coma.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, I don't understand why I'm in a food coma. I've been eating plenty today. Aldi done this thing, mango pulp in the tin, and I've eaten pretty much all of that in the space of less than a day. I've been mixing it with apple juice, and that's really nice.
So
and cider.
June 17th, the expedition set up camp at Echo Park. This is all over the place. They were just talking about August the 17th, and now they're talking about June. Hold on a sec. Have I just flicked this down too far? Yeah. So they talk about what he wrote on August 17th. Next paragraph. On June 17th, the expedition set up camp at Echo Park near Lador Canyon, by a thicket of mountain pine and sagebrush where they could gather the wood they needed to repair the boats. According to PBS, just when the men were about to cook dinner, a gust of wind caused the fire to spread to the surrounding pine trees. Fucking hell, is this like the Three Stooges go on a fucking expedition or what? At first we took little notice of it, but soon a whirlwind swept through the canyon, and in a moment the whole point was just one sheet of flames. We seized whatever we could and rushed for the boats, and amid the rush of wind and flames, like, some of these people were like hunters and trappers. How did they not know this shit?
Well,
right. Yes,
well,
but also
why
American.
are your fictional characters not making sense when you know nothing about what you're writing about?
Wrote George Bradley in his journal, per Colorado River and Trail Expeditions. The crew was forced to flee and to navigate a dangerous rapid in the dark. Nobody got hurt that night, but they lost the majority of their mess kit and more of their much-needed food supplies. Fuck's sake.
Are you telling me this story might be a fabrication?
I don't know.
I'm not saying the story is, but I'm saying some of the people may have kind of like embellished their previous achievements before going on it.
Yeah.
Are you telling me a certain shooter wrote this story?
Before the expedition was over and while the explorers were still deep in the canyon, the Chicago Tribune published an article saying that all men had drowned in the Green River. The newspaper based its piece on the statement of a man called John Risdon, who claims he was to be the sole saver of the ill-fated party. While it wouldn't have been hard to believe such a thing could have happened, given the dangers of the expedition and Risdon's convincingly moving account of the death of his comrades, the news was fake. But was widely circulated in the press, and according to the US Geological Survey, fucking hell, they were balls deep in this, weren't they? The US Geological Survey. They could have actually given the poor cunt some advice, couldn't they? Powell later had to show the letters he had written to his wife on a date to prove that the story was wrong. Okay. On that, had to prove
Powell later had to show letters he had
written to his wife on that date to prove that the story was right. Okay then.
Why would Powell need to prove to his own wife that he wasn't dead?
I think he had to prove to the USG. Look, I absolutely wasn't there. Look at this letter I wrote to my wife. What?
Wait, what? Yeah, but what? You're literally there saying, "Look, I'm alive." Hello.
I think it's the US Geological Survey. I don't get it.
Right. Obviously, they didn't know what he looked like, and this is his proof, right?
It's Yanks, Fraser. That's what I'm just going to say.
Surely they would know what the guy looked like, right? Surely, right? Yeah. If they were the guy sponsoring him.
Well, surely it would have been easier for Powell to prove that this dude wasn't in the party, or that they're all alive to prove that he's not the sole survivor. Yeah. Surely just Powell being alive like disproves the man's story that he's the sole survivor.
How would me writing to my wife prove that I am said person?
I don't know.
Is it like the guy in the fucking aeroplane on 9/11? Hi, honey, it's me, Charles Bobbins. I'm on a plane.
Yeah.
Is it like that again?
I think it is. However, Powell enjoyed the attention and the popularity the false news brought him. As he wrote in his 1895 memoir, The Exploration of the Colorado River, a good friend of mine had gathered a great number of obituary notices, and it was interesting and rather flattering to me to discover the high esteem in which I'd been held by the people of the United States. John Wesley Powell risked his life several times during the expedition. He was an experienced explorer who wasn't afraid of heights. He was used to cumbersome equipment and was unfazed by the rims of canyons and precipices. That's what I've heard. Blimey, dirty boy. Where he often liked to take his walks. He was also foolish and brave, which often proves to be a deadly combination. On July 8th, the expedition had just left the mouth of the Uinta River. While climbing a rock face, Powell found himself in a spot where he couldn't go higher up or back down. George Bradley had to take off his pants and use them to bring Powell back to safety. That's even more funny when you think that Yanks use a different word for pants than we do.
Wait, hold on. This one-armed man is climbing a rock face.
Yeah. The moment is critical.
Okay.
The moment is critical. Standing on my toes, my muscles begin to tremble. Is it 60 or 80 feet to the foot of the precipice? If I lose my hold, I shall fall to the bottom. Wrote Powell in his diary per the US Geological Survey. I don't know why they even. What?
Wait. So okay, right. Oh, well, let's go again. Right. Powell found himself with a spot of bother. He couldn't go any higher or back down.
Yeah.
So George took off his trousers.
Yeah.
And did something, and then the day was saved.
Something. Saved Powell.
Yeah. So what did he do?
I don't know.
I'm taking off my pants now. And then it's like it cut to hey, everyone's all right now. It's like wait, there's a bit in between, like how you actually save this guy with your pants.
You just had to use them as a rope. They obviously didn't have any rope on them. I don't know.
But he couldn't go any higher or lower. Like he was stuck, right? So how would using your pants help him?
Right, so a few days later, on July 11th, Powell's boat capsized. The one-armed explorer had to choose between losing the vessel or swimming back to safety. Another wave rolls our boat over, and I am thrown some distance into the water. The boat is drifting ahead of me 20 to 30 feet, and when the great waves have passed, I overtake her and find Sumner and Dunn clinging to her. He survived, and they managed to save the boat, but the crew lost bedding materials and 2 firearms. Fucking hell. This bloke's a plank, isn't he? Despite a shortage of supplies and general low morale, the crew was physically and mentally worn out at this point. Powell kept halting the expedition in order to make measurements and write down observations in his notebook. At the end of July, the expedition had just passed through Cataract Canyon, a terrifying passage where they had encountered some of the most difficult rapids they had seen. Grand Canyon Explorer reports. The crew was growing increasingly anxious and wanted to return home. Some of them were beginning to think they weren't going to make it, and it was best to abandon the expedition. Doomed to be here another day, perhaps more than that, for Major has been talking about taking observations ever since we came here. It seems no nearer done now than when we began. He should not ask us to wait, and it must go on or soon, or the consequences will be different from what he anticipates, noted George Bradley in his diary on August the 2nd. In the first days of August, Powell and his men entered a new canyon. The walls around them got higher and more narrow, ridges of hard rock made for dangerous slopes and fast-flowing rapids and waterfalls. But the scenery was also getting very beautiful. Powell thought the canyon's walls looked like marble and named the place Marble Canyon. The limestone of this canyon is often polished, and that makes a beautiful marble. Sometimes the rocks are of many colours, whites, grey, pink, purple, with saffron tints, wrote Powell. On August 7th, they were journeying down Marble Canyon. The expedition was halted on account of a solar eclipse. On that day, the crew took time to rest and repair their belongings, according to BBS. Powell and his brother climbed up the canyon, hoping to enjoy the spectacle. Unfortunately, when they got to their vantage point, it started to rain and the clouds obscured the eclipse. But at that point, it had gotten dark and it was too late to go back to camp. That night, John and Walter Powell had to sleep under the rain and sheltered among the rocks. So supplies were running increasingly low. I mean, they had a fucking trapper with them. Why weren't he getting fresh meat for them?
Well, when people are made up, Hemmy.
Yeah, when people have slightly embellished what they actually are, things don't go that well. Supplies were running increasingly low. Well, at least they had that fucking enthusiastic 19-year-old with them, didn't they?
Yeah. Why didn't they use the guy's magic pants to fucking catch some animals? Fucking you can do anything those things can.
Supplies were running increasingly low, and on August 25th, the crew opened their last sack of flour, PBS reports. Most of the food was gone, and the few supplies they had left had been ruined by being constantly wet. There was no game to hunt around them. For the water...
Well, there we are.
Yeah.
It was dry as a bone.
Yeah, for the walls of the canyon were too high in that section of river, and the water was too shallow for fishing, which made the second part of the trip much more difficult than the first. For the last month of the trip, the explorers only ate biscuits made from spoiled flour and dried apples, and survived mainly on coffee. Fucking they must have been wired then. August 27th marked the 96th day since their departure, and is described by George Bradley as the darkest day of the trip. The expedition had reached a daunting set of rapids. The water dashes against the left bank and then is thrown back against the right. The billows are huge, and I fear our boats could not ride them if we could keep them off the rocks. The spectacle is appalling to us. There is no discontent in the camp tonight, and I fear some of the party will take to the mountains, but hope not, wrote Bradley in his diary. This Bradley seems to be the only geezer with his head screwed on, doesn't he? On the morning of the 27th, the party reached one of the worst rapids they encountered during the trip. They knew the higher walls of the canyon ahead of them meant more falls and hours of portage through gorges and cascades. It was the tipping point for William Dunn and the Howland brothers, who on August 28th finally decided to abandon the expedition. They climbed up the canyon, which was what was later named Separation Rapid. It was the last time they were seen. To the date, historians can't agree on what happened to them. According to the US National Park Service, some say they were killed by Shivwits tribesmen looking to avenge the death of a native woman. Others say they were killed by a group of Mormons who mistook them for federal agents. What the fuck? Hobbit, you're gonna have to. This is right up your.
I've heard that. Yeah. Mormons, federal agents,
rogue Mormons.
Oh, what? Where's this? Sorry, I tuned out for a second there. What's happening?
Right, you see, 3 explorers died under mysterious circumstances. It's that paragraph underneath there.
Okay, yeah, right.
So others say they were killed by a group of Mormons who mistook just like rogue Mormons in the Grand Canyon.
Excuse me. When they died,
yeah.
Did the Mormons posthumously convert them to Mormonism?
I have no idea. I don't know if they found the bodies or not. I know they didn't find the bodies.
Federal agents.
Terry A. Davis's Terry A. Davis's fucking ancestors. So they might have wandered into the desert and died of hunger. The truth will never be known. The irony is that the three men left the expedition only 2 days before the remaining members of the crew exited the canyon, having reached the end of the trip. Oops. On August the 30th...
You just hold out a little bit longer, Jimmy. A little bit longer.
Shit. Just hold the faith. Just keep the faith. On August the 30th, after 98 days of terrible hardship and misery, having run the river for nearly 1,000 miles, the party emerged from the canyon at the mouth of the Virgin River in Nevada, where they were rescued by a group of Mormon settlers. These obviously weren't the rogue Mormons; these were the regular Mormons.
No. These are the good ones.
Yeah, not the rogue bounty hunting Mormons. In the village of St. Thomas, the Grand Junction Daily reports. The Grand Junction Daily Sentinel reports. One can only imagine the relief. The first hour of convalescent freedom seems a rich recompense for all the pain, gloom, and terror, wrote John Powell upon seeing the first rescuers. While celebrating, the surviving members also mourn the loss of their comrades. What we all regret now is that 3 boys who took to the mountains are not here to share our joy and triumph, wrote George Bradley. Do you think they ate them?
It could be a possibility. They were starving, right? Yeah, for starving.
I think there might be another as yet unexplored.
Oh, yeah, we can't have that, can we? American heroes.
Oh, that was probably good by Rogue Mormons, obviously.
Hang on. I'm sure that was a Troma film title, like Cannibal Mormons, the musical.
Cannibal Mormons?
No, we're not saying the Mormons. We're saying the Rogue Mormon theory is bullshit, and that they ate them, not the Mormons, because they were ugly.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I don't know. It's a theory, isn't it?
Yep.
Aren't Mormons usually called John Wesley as well? Oh dear. So what else we got? Only 6 the original 10. What? It was fucking 9 at the start.
Wait. Was it 9 plus John?
I don't. Was it?
Right,
was it 9 plus the bloke that claimed to have survived? Is that what? What the fuck?
Wait, hold on. How many people got eaten or got killed by?
3 went missing.
3.
Whoa,
hold on. Whoa. Okay, we've got a math problem here.
Is this one of those terrible
minus
tragedies
3 equals not 6.
Is this one?
What happened to the 7th, dude?
It's not one of those terrible tragedies where they all got wiped out and suddenly there's more of them after the tragedy than before.
that old chestnut.
Yeah.
Well, only 6 of the original 10. Okay, original 10. Before the loss of Dunn and the Howland brothers at Separation Bend, Frank Goodman had ditched the expedition on July 6th near Echo Park, according to the Washington County Historical Society. Okay. Goodman had gone to live with the Pautes? P-A-I-U-T-E. I've got no idea how to say that. And later settled in Pautes? Paultown. Pine Keys. The Paultowns. Later settled in Utah, where he married and had children. Having completed one of the most daring scientific some may say stupid. Daring scientific... exactly what was scientific about it?
The guy constantly was like, stop, I need to take the measurement. He's really annoying, I bet.
They lost the barometers.
Using imagination, because no barometer.
Hobbit, can you tell me what was scientific about what these fucking idiots did?
They had to... they put on the white coats and me use scientific mammoth tusk.
We've been down the Grand Canyon and we think it will be flooded in 5 years' time. Is that what was scientific about it?
The sea level's going to rise, so I'm just going to buy up these coastal properties.
This sounds like... I'm sorry, but this sounds like I made this shit up.
People were off the fucking chain in the 1800s. They just didn't give a fuck, did they? This is
what happens when cocaine and opium were you could just go to the pharmacist and it's like, hey, I'm looking to cut down on my alcohol use. Here, have this Coca-Cola. It's got cocaine in it. It's great.
And need it to fucking go on that trip, wouldn't you?
Oh, and hey,
so why do they call these things trips?
It mixes pretty well with mescaline and rum, so
What is that? How did they get the time off work? It's like they get the time off work. These fuckers didn't have to have mortgages to pay or anything, did they?
Not when you're hired by the U.S. Geological Survey, which morphed into the Smithsonian or something.
Yeah. So anyway, got another bit. The next bit is people who mysteriously vanished in the Grand Canyon. Blah blah blah. America, Grand Canyon. It's estimated somewhere around 5.9 million people visit the canyon each year. Sometimes bad things happen. My Grand Canyon Park estimates the chances of dying in the park are 1 in 400,000. And occasionally people just disappear. Here are a few cases of people who have mysteriously vanished in the Grand Canyon.
So when those rogue Mormons, like, beat the odds...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. They're getting eaten by rogue Mormons, aren't they?
Yeah, is that counted in, like, the occasional deaths and dying in the Grand Canyon?
Right, they rogue Mormons, rebel Mormons, cannibal Mormons, whatever they are. So, in 1993, Robert and Donna Spangler headed to the Grand Canyon. While they were there, Donna fell. Robert later said he'd looked away to adjust his camera, and when he looked back, she disappeared over the edge. Her body was recovered from 200 feet over the rim, and that was seemingly that. The LA Times says not everyone believed it was an accident, including Donna's relatives. They said she was terrified of heights, and whatever happened there hadn't been voluntary. Now, fast forward to the year 2000, and Robert's diagnosis of brain and lung cancer. Thinking that he might be willing to talk, law enforcement paid him another visit. Robert Spangler confessed, yes, he had pushed her. And he confessed even more than that. He also admitted he'd executed his first wife, Nancy, just a few days before Christmas in 1978, just before killing their 15-year-old daughter and 17-year-old son. Why? He wanted to be with his new girlfriend. Those deaths were ruled a murder-homicide, and his marriage to the girlfriend in question ended in divorce. Marriage to the girlfriend in question? Fucking journalists, man. He was married to his girlfriend and that ended in divorce. Okay. He'd married Donna after that and admitted he pushed her because he was unhappy in that marriage. In 2001, the AP reported that he'd been sentenced to life in prison and his cancer diagnosis was terminal. I just love that. Fucking, I want another one. I want another one. Just kill it. Fucking nutter. Floyd Roberts III went for a hike in the Grand Canyon on June 17th, 2016. With him were his friend...
Floyd Roberts III. Oh, okay, sure.
Floyd Roberts III went for a hike in the Grand Canyon on June 17th, 2016. With him were his friend Ned Bryant and Ned's daughter Madeline. According to Strange Outdoors, they were the last people to see Roberts, and what happened was definitely strange. Fraser, you're going to love this next sentence. Roberts was a one-time NASA employee, computer programming teacher, and experienced hiker.
So he worked for them one time for a period of 40 years.
So when they reached a hill during the course of their planned 9-day hike, no one gave it a second thought when they split up. The Bryants went over the hill and Roberts went around with the idea they'd meet on the other side. Roberts never made it, and when the Bryants backtracked, they could find no sign of him. After camping for the night, they hiked to an area where they had cell phone reception and called in a missing person alert. They kicked off a 6-day search involving 7 ground teams, dogs, and National Park Service helicopters. They covered an area of 10 square miles, and the only trace they found were footprints, but couldn't confirm they belonged to Roberts. He has yet to be found.
So wait, hold on. Let's make it.
That's vanished into thin air in the thin air of the Grand Canyon.
Oh, okay. So he went round. Wait, what? And
so there was a little thing. There
yeah.
was a little hill thing. They went over the top.
Yeah.
He went round the side. They agreed to meet at the end. Meet in the end.
Hmm.
And then he just vanished.
Do. Yeah.
Ooh.
Maybe the skinwalker's got him.
Not all mysterious disappearances have an unhappy ending, and occasionally the news is good. Martin Edward O'Connor spent the last days of 2019 at Yavapai Lodge, according to the Washington Post.
Yavapai Lodge? Is that meant to be Yavapai Lodge?
Yeah, it might be. Yavapai. He was there last seen there on December 22nd after having arrived on December 17th, not long after he was reported missing. He was travelling alone. Anyone who saw him was told to get in touch with the National Park Service. Those sort of stories tend not to end well, especially in the middle of winter. Conditions are difficult as it had started to snow during the days he was missing. Miraculously, the Park Service got a tip that some hikers had spotted him on the New Hartz Trail. One of the least maintained and most difficult trails in the canyon. The tip came in late on Wednesday. When a helicopter was sent out on Thursday, it was found with limited resources, said park officials, but alive and well. The rescue team said they were amazed at how well he was doing, and what exactly happened in the 11 days he was missing remains unknown. Maybe we should look in this. Maybe you'll probably find out this story's bollocks. Let's have a look.
So he didn't invent any bananas then?
Nope.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a NASA employee. Maybe that's why they gave him back.
One time.
What we?
Oh, excuse me.
So some. Well, Daniel said she didn't know whether O'Connor had been in the elements the entire time he was missing. She said that temperatures reached 20s at night in that area where he was found. We're really glad to be able to reunite him with his family. What else have we got in here? I don't really say. There's not really much detail on it, to be honest. What's this one? Stable condition, undergoing medical. No, they don't say anything about his missing 2 weeks. So read of that what you will.
Then he got abducted by aliens, you know.
Yeah. It's always aliens.
It's always aliens, yeah.
Yeah. Missing in the Grand...
the moles.
The idea says the Los Angeles Times was that newlyweds Glenn and Bessie Hyde were going to go on a grand adventure down the Grand Canyon and then earn their living not as bean farmers but on the lecture circuit, talking about their record-breaking trip. They set off on October 20th, 1928, stopped at Grand Canyon Village to restock their supplies, and were last seen on November 18th. Their boat was found a few weeks later, still afloat and still loaded. Those who had seen them previously said that Bessie seemed hesitant. She clearly didn't want to be there. The dynamics of the relationship are pure speculation, but here's where the story takes a turn. Glenn and Bessie were declared missing in 1928, and years later another party was taking a trip down the same route when they came across a woman travelling alone. They asked her to join them, and she did. The Grand Canyon Visitor Centre says that it was one night over a campfire their guide started telling the story of Glenn and Bessie, and that's when she said that she was Bessie. She claimed she killed Glenn during a fight and wandered off to start a new life as Georgie Clark. And that's all there was. If that was all there was to it, it would be questionable. But after Clark's death, a search of her belongings turned up a birth certificate that identified her as Bessie DeRoss and a marriage certificate for Glenn and Bessie Hyde. Ooh. The term Anasazi means two different things in Navajo, according to the Grand Canyon Visitor. It means both ancient ones and ancient enemies. They also say that it was a group of hunter-gatherers who truly started to flourish around 2,000 years ago and settled into the Grand Canyon, where they became skilled basket weavers, artists and potters. Then they vanished, and no one is entirely sure what happened to them. The Smithsonian, that trustworthy organisation, puts the development
the Johnnies in chief, the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
The ones who actually get paid to sweep it up.
Yeah. Puts the development of the Anasazi culture as early as 1500 BC and says it was around 1250 they started building defensive structures and moving their settlements high up into caves along the cliff faces. At the end of the 13th century they fled. Some abandoned old settlements and some left behind buildings newly constructed and half finished. There's been a few theories, with the longest running one suggesting there was a cataclysmic drought that forced them to move elsewhere, but some historians aren't satisfied with that. They had weathered droughts before. Others suggest an outside threat, but there has never been any evidence found of other peoples. Now there's another theory gaining traction. The Anasazi were split into alliances, attacking tribes and families of their own, slaughtering others wholesale, and executing those who didn't agree. It would certainly explain the fortifications and mass disappearances. Those who didn't die fled persecution. Aren't they the ones that are supposed to have gone down the old big white travelator?
No, I don't think these were the guys, right?
Oh, okay then. I just wondered if
I think
this
the Anasazi is something different.
I just wondered if they. What do you think? Likely that they'd just kill each other for no real reason?
Who knows? I mean, again, it's like it's hard to tell, but I do wonder why they started building up in these caves. You know, if they lived out on the the plateau or whatever. Or...
Maybe something was attacking them, not each other.
Yeah, or maybe Earth movements. I don't know.
Goat suckers.
Yeah.
I suppose scientists would say, well, there was reverberations through the canyon, and that drove them all nuts.
They all went crazy and killed each other.
Yeah. Obbit, what's your theory, Obbit?
I just keep thinking of like the term chupacabra, and I always thought it's like, oh yeah, so it's the chupa, which is like the goat, and the cabra is suck. But it's like, no, because chupa chups are things what you suck. They're suckers. So chupa means suck. And then I'm thinking like, oh, capybaras are from another place, so that's not the same.
Yeah.
So, sorry, no. I think that chicken jalfrezi was hotter than some vindaloos I've had. And I'm disappointed when you get a vindaloo and you just go...
Jalfrezi's a bit hit and miss. I mean, sometimes you'll have one and it's okay and you're, oh, this is all right. And then other times you'll just get an absolutely evil one. I don't know what it is with jalfrezi.
Is it just like... It's just like a sort of like a random amount of heat put into each one?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll agree. I'll agree with that thesis. How about you, Fraser? Where are you on the jalfrezi question?
Neutral.
We got the recipe. Send them back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so some people seem to be plucked straight out of an adventure novel, and Bert Loper was one of those guys. In 1920, he was a lead boatman on a survey mission along the area of the planned Hoover Dam, and according to the Paris News via Findergrave, what the fuck? He spent most of his life as a river runner.
Wait, hold on. There's a thing called Find a Grave.
Yeah, obviously there is.
On a dangerous expedition.
Yeah.
He's working for someone. Come on, oh, please, that's too on the nose.
Yeah. He spent most of his life as a river runner. I don't know what a river runner is. He didn't let age.
Is that like the Brian Logan's Run? No.
Might
Carousel.
Be. He's a runner, yeah. Well, I don't know. He was 70-year-old, so he was dodging he dodged the carousel well. He didn't let age get in the way either. In 1939, the 17-year-old Loper boated a 250-mile stretch of the upper Colorado, and for his 80th birthday, he planned another trip. Only this time, it ended in tragedy. On July the 8th, 1949, his boat capsized for only the third time in his 56 years on the river. Loper vanished beneath the foaming waters. Dun, dun, dun. A search party was immediately sent out, and they did find his boat, which they dragged ashore and left there. Loper's wife returned the following year to find out just what had happened. She was unsuccessful. Well, obviously, because she's going there a year later, and it was in the water. And the year after that, she returned again to the site where Loper's boat still sat. There, she built a memorial from canyon marble and left a bronze plaque that read, Bert Loper, born July 31st, 1869, lost July the 8th, 1949. The grand old man of the Colorado River. I belong to the wondrous West, and the West belongs to me. His remains weren't recovered until 1979, 26 years later. He was ultimately buried beside his wife in Salt Lake City. Probably another Mormon then, weren't he?
Smart.
Dum. Are you saying smart now?
Smart.
So this is more like missing people, this one, isn't it? I'll find some spooky stuff in a bit. On May the 12th, 1992, I think that's Danny Ray. Danny Ray Hornin donned the doctor's smock. Do you don things, Hobbit? Or do you just put them on?
I don my cap.
I don a fetching cap.
Yes.
Strolled out of the...
I wheeled a pen.
He donned a doctor's smock and blues-on style jacket. Strolled out of the Arizona State Prison and disappeared. In New York, the New York Times described Hornin as an Army veteran with extensive training in survival and reconnaissance, which went a long way explaining how he's able to evade authorities for such a long time. You want a war you can't win. What is it from First Blood? You want a war you can't. I think it's a war you can't win, isn't it? I can't remember what he says. He says something about a war anyway. Hornin was already serving 4 life terms for bank robbery and looking at extradition for a murder case which he escaped fleeing from police in a series of stolen vehicles and leaving behind notes that demanded the release of his brother, who was serving a 29-year prison sentence during his bizarre plan to kidnap a family and ransom them for $1 million and his brother's freedom. He kidnapped an Arizona couple and forced them to drive to the place he'd spent much of his time on the run, the Grand Canyon. According to AP, he left 2 other kidnapping victims tied to a tree near the Grand Canyon National Park and headed off on foot to evade capture. Hornin ended up leading law enforcement on a wild goose chase that lasted almost 8 weeks and involved more than 400 agents from the FBI, Border Patrol and National Park Service. He was finally caught when he broke into a home in Grand Canyon Village to get a drink. The homeowner spotted him and called police, who found him sleeping on a neighbour's deck. Absolute mad lad. In 2006, Tomomi Hanamura turned 30. How's anyone's Japanese? Can anyone say that properly?
Tomomi
Hanamura turned 34 years old. For her birthday, she decided to do something epic. YOLO. She left her home in Japan and went on a trip that included a visit to Havasu Falls on the Havasupai Indian reservoirs. We talked about the Havasupai last week, didn't we? I think. She'd been staying in a lodge as she explored the area, and on May 9th, when the cleaning lady found she hadn't been back to her room, they kicked off a search for a missing hiker. Her disappearance was brief. She was found the next day, floating in the Havasu Creek. She'd been stabbed 29 times. What had happened in the time she'd been missing? After a months-long investigation, things seemed to be wrapped up. An 18-year-old Havasupai man named Randy Redtail Wesker Game, and that is his name, was charged with her murder. The motive was theft. He was looking for cash to fuel his drug habit, investigators said, and she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. You say, but that's not entirely the end of the story. Investigative journalist Annette McGivney wanted to learn more about everyone involved, and Wesker Game's accounts of the abuse he suffered at the hands of his father brought back McGivney's own memories of childhood abuse. The consequences of a traumatic childhood lay bare. McGivney decided to fund a non-profit called the Healing Lands Project, which partners with the Family Violence Institute to hold clinically supported wilderness immersion programs for those who are victims of childhood domestic
wilderness
abuse.
immersion.
Yeah, so basically what they want to do is they want to take people who are going to stab people 29 times and they just want to take them out into the woods. So they can just happen upon walkers or whatever. Seems legit to me.
Yeah.
Let's see what
you need a padded cell when you've got so much open air.
Yeah, just have them out there. Here you go. Here's a knife for whittling sticks. Don't stab anyone. Promise me. It just sounds perfect. Right, so on June, I think these are all murders because not many of them are mysterious disappearances, are they? They're very unmysterious disappearances. On June the 2nd, 2015, 22-year-old Morgan Heimer disappeared from the Colorado River in the area.
Heimer?
Heimer? Scheimer in the area of Pumpkin Springs. He was leading a group through the Grand Canyon on an 8-day trip when he vanished. He weren't leading them very well, was he? It was day 6 of the trip, and the group had stopped for the swim. The trip leader had been speaking to some of the clients, witnesses said, and Heimer was standing at the edge of the river. When they looked again, he was simply gone. At first, the Charlie Project says it was assumed he'd gone for a walk or on a break, but he hasn't been seen since. And that, says Strange Outdoors, is what no one understood. He was there, then gone. Reports of his disappearance kicked off a 6-day search, both on river and on land. There were no signs of him whatsoever. Heimer, authorities noted, was an avid outdoorsman, excellent swimmer, and an experienced river guide who they had hoped had all the skills necessary to survive until found. What do you think? Fairies took him? Goat suckers? What?
You know, he went on the magic travelator to the inner earth, and
yeah, he went on the big white travelator.
He can never return because the Indians will cut out his tongue, you know.
And eyes.
And eyes, yeah. Don't forget,
yeah. Drake Kramer was last seen at Bright Angel Lodge when he checked out. That was in February of 2015, and according to ABC News, it was right before he sent a disturbing text to his father. Kramer wrote that he needed to be back with Mother Earth and that he needed to set his soul free. That, coupled with Facebook posts that talked about things that he would like to see before he dies, convinced his parents to report him missing, even though they said that they weren't sure what he meant. His father, Robin, said that he hoped that the geology students and outdoor enthusiasts had simply meant he needed to be alone with nature. Yeah. But tragically, he hasn't been seen or heard from since. Kramer left his car at the lodge that he'd been staying at, says the Charlie Project. Representatives from the Grand Canyon National Park and said they had little to go on as no one knew his plans or where where he had been planning on going when he left the lodge. Let's see how bizarre. Hold on, I'm just gonna. Fell for 150. Fucking hell. Oh no. I think we've basically read the next lot. So one more. Vanishing a long way from home. The family of Adam Clayton Lyle Jones. Fucking hell, this bloke's got to be a serial. Oh, he's got 4 names, not 3. Adam Clayton Lyle Jones. That should be fucking 2 people, not 1. I didn't even know that he was missing all 4 of his names not until park rangers called the Florida family to let them know his car had been found abandoned at the Grand Canyon South Rim Visitors Center. He'd left Gulf Breeze, Florida on March the 3rd, 2011, and his car was found on May the 5th. It seemed as though Jones had clearly had plans to continue his road trip. Among the things found in the car was an itinerary that included cities in California and Colorado. Another possible lead was that a friend he had in Yuma, Arizona, but according to Gulf Breeze News, no one had been able to reach that friend as of May 26th. They also note before his disappearance, he'd been regularly using his debit card. Authorities were able to track his movement through Louisiana and Texas. The case remains open, says the Charlie Project. So yeah, I mean, some of these could be like the missing 411 stuff, couldn't they?
No brain. Sorry, I'm just thinking. No, it's 419. That's it. It's not even related. What's missing 411?
Missing 411 is the where people go missing in the parks.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of 419, the Nigerian scammers, and they make the song the "Chop Your Dollar" song.
Chop your dollar.
Yeah, like fraud in Nigeria as the code 419 in their penal law system. So there's like the song the Nigerian 419 scammers sing "Chop Your Dollar," where they sing about, getting people to send them money.
Oh, okay.
In Nigeria.
What do we got here then? Did you want to talk about the Grand Canyon mummies? I think we talked about them last week, didn't we?
No, I think we only briefly touched on it.
So Lost Valley. We did all that last week. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he found mummies in there, didn't he? He found a giant mummy that was 8 to 9. So, when the man fell into... So, what's it? So, who's this geezer?
So then...
So, they believe people in the caverns have been dead for 1,000 years, all mummified. Gold spears, gold shields, gold statues, gold jewellery, thick gold bands on their arms. A lot of bling. Yeah. Gold and copper reported items in the Grand Canyon. He fell into a cavern that was huge, and there were 100 men in it. Some were sitting around a polished table inlaid with gold and precious stones. Men stood around the walls of the room holding shields and spears of solid gold. They all wore leather aprons covered in gold ornaments and jewels. Thomason believed they had been... That must be a nightmare to clean up after you've been doing barbecue, mustn't it? Thomason believed they had been having a council meeting when they all died together quite suddenly. Well, you know, it happens, doesn't it? When the man fell into the chamber room, he'd stumbled in the dark. He'd found that these ancient people had natural gas they used for lantern light down there. He fumbled in the dark, stumbled over a rock lever, and gas flames lit up from a candle he was using. This sounds like nonsense, doesn't it?
What are you talking? It's fine. Stop questioning #BelieveAllAmericans.
Yeah. There was a gold statue with the face of the man sitting at the table. He said it was 89.5 feet tall. I think they mean 8 to 9.5 feet tall, but it says 89.5 feet tall. He used the sextant to measure it, and then he carried one for hiking in the desert. Oh, so it might be 89.5 feet tall then, if you use the sextant. How'd you use a sextant to measure a statue, Hobbit?
Trigonometry.
Oh, fuck that then.
Angles and shit.
Angles and shit.
Yeah.
Don't
ask it. It's the one subject of maths I can't do.
45-degree angle, baby.
Yeah. I remember bits. I remember pi is something to do with circles.
I always thought if I was going to need to measure something, I'd have a tool for measuring it. And I'll tell you what, it turns out, yes, there are times I need to measure things, and you use what's called a measuring stick.
Or tape.
Never, not once, when it tape measure as well. When have I gone into a lot? Well, because you see, with lorries, it's kind of important to measure how tall they are, so you don't go into bridges and such. Yeah. And I've never once needed to do trigonometry to figure that out. I just use a measuring stick.
There you go. Just take your sextant with you, Hobbit. Stop being a fucking faggot.
Oh, but I don't have one of them sextants.
Well,
look at me, mister. I was born with a silver sextant in my mouth.
Silver sextant.
So anyway, doors were slats of rock on hinges that were... How'd you make a hinge out of rock? And there was a bar across them, and he found a small latch on the short end of the bar, and the bar swung up. They understood counterweights. Do, do, do. Gold bars and precious stones. Treasure rooms inside of the big rock bores. Gold stacked in small bars was stacked against the walls like bricks. The jewels were in bins cut into the walls. They had stone wheelbarrows to move the gold and jewels. They were easy to move, balanced with the wheel not on the end, so that the man had to lift the weight, but in the centre. White fell in.
So yeah,
you go on there a bit.
Why make them out of stone?
It doesn't matter, does it?
#BelieveAllAmericans.
Yeah. White fell in. He went in with Fred Thomason twice and then took his wife once. Fred admitted twice they brought stuff out. First time filled their pockets with gems and each carried a gold bar. They left the stuff with a friend and went to try and interest someone in their find. A government man was interested. Hey, government man.
One idiot.
Interested.
Government man. Hey, are you government? Yes, I am. Look at this. But they went back to the friend to get the items, and the friend said he'd never seen them. It's just kind of, mate. Fred might be a schizophrenic. I don't want to judge. I don't want to judge, but Fred might be.
You're saying he's the father of Saint Terry?
Yeah. The next time they got more treasure and buried it next to the shaft entrance, they went back to the coast to convince them to university people. and the Southwest Museum to come out, and they got up on the mountains and he could not find the shaft. A storm had changed the landmarks. The scientists were angry and worked hard to discredit them after that. White and Thomason admitted they could get back again. They could get into through the galley windows cut up high on the Panamints on the west side, about 4,500 to 5,000 feet up. Openings from across the Furnace Creek Ranch can see the green of the ranch right below, and the Furnace Creek wash across the. Some men,
well done it.
This is written really well. Some men got a Native American, Tom Wilson, to guide him, whose grandfather had been through the caves. Far south of the mountain, these men found a mine shaft in the mountain where a shaft shouldn't be. They rushed off and told it. They rushed off and ordered a lot of rope and checked out the shaft. It was not in deep. It was not in deep, but did not go anywhere. Note from the blog: this comparison and the long-held stories of the Smithsonian squirreling away finds makes one wonder if the Department of Ethnology, made in conjunction with the Smithsonian, worked as a front to claim native finds of treasure and then have the Smithsonian step in to take the treasures away. Maybe the country wished to secure all its resources, including anything of great worth, prior cultures and Spanish conquistadors. So that's... let's find who this geezer is. Let's go up. What do you think to this geezer? Bullshitter or not?
I can't make head or tails of this story. I mean, I'm listening to you talking, but, like...
It was written really, really, really badly.
Put it this way, I'm not saying the Brutus Diaries is a better read, but
it's better.
That kind of made. Yeah, that's sad.
Where's the other one? I need to find the ghosts one. There's a spooky. You ready for some spooky stuff?
Whoa.
Spooky.
I'm spooked.
Spooky. Puebloans, we did that last week, didn't we?
Open the door, get on the floor, get spooked by a spooky dinosaur.
Well, let's try this one first. So on June 30th, 1956 at 9:01 a.m, TWA Flight 2 took off from Los Angeles International Airport, flying to Kansas City. 3 minutes later, United Airlines Flight 718 also took off from Los Angeles, headed for Chicago. The two flights would become tragically entwined over the Grand Canyon.
I know what that stands for.
What?
You know, so it's Trans World Airline Travels. They dropped out the T from that acronym, but it's like, well, that's not correct because it's Trans World Airline Travel.
What, they go? What, you have to wear a dress when you go on there, do you?
No, well, trans as in like transcontinental, thingy, but like, you know, the initial spell twat, they don't spell twat.
Shortly after takeoff, the pilot of the twat plane requested to change his altitude from 19,000 to 21,000 feet to avoid storm clouds. At the time, commercial flights had no direct contact with air traffic controllers after their takeoff, so messages had to be sent to a TWA dispatcher and relayed to control. What, he just runs up with a bit of paper in his hand? Is that what they're saying? So
well, they're sort of like, do they toss out like paper planes towards the nearest air traffic control tower?
Air traffic controllers denied the request because the United flight was already flying at that altitude. The TWA pilot then requested to fly 1,000 on top, which meant flying 1,000 feet above the clouds. The clouds they encountered, but being responsible for their own separation from other aircraft. This request was approved by air traffic controllers, but the pilot was not adequately warned of the United flight in the same area and approximately on the same flight path. TWA Flight 2 climbed up 21,000 feet as it passed over the Grand Canyon. United Flight 718 and TWA Flight 2 then flew around opposite sides of a towering storm cloud in the way of their routes, not knowing the other plane was at the same altitude. Around 10:30 a.m, the two planes clipped each other as they navigated around the cloud, losing control and plummeting into the canyon below. Analysis of the wreckage seems to show that the pilot of the United flight Probably saw they were on a collision course with a TWA flight, but only seconds beforehand. While attempting to avoid a crash, the left wing of the United plane struck the tail of the TWA plane. None of the 128 people aboard of the two planes survived. At the time, huge parts of the country... This is a bit... okay. At the time, huge parts of the country had no radar tracking flights, including above the Grand Canyon. Planes were not typically equipped with tracking beacons or flight data recorders, so it was not immediately known that the disaster had unfolded. It wasn't until the planes went for some time without manually reporting their position that it was suspected that something might be amiss. Fucking hell, they were the days, weren't they?
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Literally get away with murder, and some of them did.
It does sound like the TWA pilot was a TWAT, doesn't it?
You're saying he was a Transworld Airline traveller?
It's just the fact that, like...
I don't think there's any kind of fucking confluence or gravity wells going on here, is there? It's just an idiot.
It's just clouds.
Yeah. It's just clouds and an idiot pilot. Like, I mean, how many times does the dude have to be told, no, you're not fucking going up, you twat. Stay there.
I believe I can fly.
Do you think maybe the TWA pilot was like a little bit, might have had a little bit to drink? Do you think he'd had a snifter before he went up?
The funny thing is, pilots, they're not allowed to drink Diet Coke, and then I looked into it, it's like, oh yeah, it contains aspartame, which is excitotoxic. Excitotoxic means it attacks your nerves and gives pilots the jitters.
Yeah.
So they're not allowed to drink alcohol, they're not allowed to drink Diet Coke.
Okay.
And I assume that means any other substances containing aspartame.
Okay. So anyway, at the time, huge parts of the country... I already know that. The wreckage was
Is that
first...
why they always serve Diet Coke on the plane? To, like, fucking wire you up or something? You're gonna die. I don't
Get
know.
you wired, just in case you don't.
Yeah.
They don't care about you, you're not the pilot.
Yeah. Wreckage was first spotted many hours later by Henry and Palin Hudgin. Fucking Palin? Who calls that kid Palin? Brothers who flew short taxi flights for Grand Canyon Airlines. They spotted smoke rising from within the canyon, but not knowing about the missing planes, they dismissed it as a brush fire caused by lightning from the earlier storm. No fucks given by anybody, is there? It's like, fuck it, I'll just bring this plane up. Fuck it, it's probably a storm.
Fire.
Upon learning of the missing planes,
Nah.
Upon learning of the missing planes, they flew back into the canyon to take a close look at the smoke and saw the wreckage. The crash was in a remote and rugged area of the canyon that had unpredictable air currents, making helicopter flights to the area dangerous. Swiss mountain climbers were recruited to assist in accessing the site. Swiss climbers gathered human remains, although very few were identifiable. Of the 70 passengers aboard TWA Flight 2, 66 of the remains were not able to be identified and were buried in a mass grave.
That's disgusting.
What?
Recuperating Swiss mountain climbers just eating those corpses. I mean, why can't they just keep their disgusting cannibalism rituals to their own fucked up country? Why do you have to... I mean, it's bad enough that they've died in a plane crash because the pilot's just like, oh, I think I'll climb another 1,000 feet. No, you really shouldn't do that. Oh, well, you're not the boss of me. I'm the flight traffic controller, so technically I am.
Whammon. I'm a strong independent whammon, and I don't need no man to tell me what.
Imagine having a female navigator. Are we going the right way? It's fine.
Yeah.
Is that the exit?
So at the time, the crash was the deadliest. So 66 of the remains were not able to be identified and were buried in a mass grave at Citizens Cemetery in Flagstaff, Arizona. At the time, the crash was the deadliest commercial airline disaster in U.S. history. It became the It became the catalyst for many changes and improvements to air safety, including folding all air traffic control under a single government agency, the Federal Aviation Commission, and requiring that commercial flights were equipped with a black box to record cockpit communications and flight data.
Why do they call it a black box when it's always been brightly painted?
Well, you know what airplanes and blondes have got in common, don't you?
They're as dumb as a box of shit.
They've both got a black box. To record cockpit communications and flight data. In 2014, the site of the wreckage was declared a national historic landmark, although the remote area of the Grand Canyon has been off limits to visitors since the 1950s. A memorial to the crash was placed along the south rim of the canyon at the Desert View Overlook. The unidentified remains from TWA Flight 2 still rest in a mass grave at Citizen Cemetery within a small lawn and marked with a plaque.
How nice.
Right, so I'm trying to find... I think this is it. So there you go. So that's the flight. So now I need to hold on. So right. So the tragedy sparked the creation of the Federal Aviation Commission, and the small ravine between the two butts became known as Crash Canyon. It's also the spot where Ranger KJ Glover thinks she may have seen the passengers almost 50 years after the accident. Glover told fellow Grand Canyon Ranger and haunted hikes author Andrea Langford that as she camped between the Chua and Temple Butts one night, she heard voices outside her tent. Peeking out, she saw more than a...
You said butts.
I said butts. Peeking out, she said she saw more than a dozen people walking up the trail in city clothes, button-up shirts and long dresses, talking to each other as if nothing was unusual. 5 or 6 Native Americans followed, speaking in a language she didn't understand. When she climbed out of her tent to look around, they had all vanished. Could the passengers of Flights 2 and 718 be haunting their crash site? Officials identified only 29 of the victims. Remains of the others were buried en masse in 4 coffins. Fucking hell, they can't have found a lot then, can they?
No.
Were buried en masse in 4 coffins alongside a memorial in Grand Canyon Pioneer Cemetery. An eerie coincidence also haunts Crash Canyon. It's located near a sacred Hopi site called a Sipapu, a gateway to the underworld, where the Hopi's ancestors...
Sipapu.
The Sipapus are back. Where the Hopi's ancestors emerged long ago and where the dead can come back. Native Americans are very superstitious about it. Rangers are very superstitious about it, says Langford. Helicopter pilots won't look down when they fly over it. There are stories of people who have gotten sick and even struck by lightning in the area. A skeptic, Langford didn't think much of the stories at first, but an inexplicable sense of imminent danger has scared her away every time she attempted to reach this Sipapu. I've always tried to get there, but when I get close within a quarter mile, I just feel really, really bad. I just turn around, she says. I don't need to go to that place. I don't think anyone should see it.
Interesting. I wonder if that's on a ley line.
If not, the courts around will have some interesting effects. Something spooky about that area. There's probably some sort of energy there.
Yeah, it's definitely something there, isn't there?
If there's something strange in your Grand Canyon neighborhood, who are you going to call? Simpaku.
Well, there's a thing there called the Confluence. I can't find anything about it. And that's supposed to have some weird
Wait, are we
stuff going
talking
on there.
Witcher Confluence thing where 2 worlds collide? Is that what we're on about?
Yeah. Confluence. Let's try putting electromagnetic. Because that's supposed where that flight was. Grand Canyon magnetic fields.
Yeah.
Let's try this. Magnetic fields, Grand Canyon lyrics. Oh, there's a band called
typical.
Magnetic Fields.
So, just in order to sort of mess up the search results, there's one of those Laurel Canyon bands made a song called Magnetic Fields, Grand Canyon.
Oh, you're having a look as well, eh, Hobbit? You found it as well.
I'm just like, well, you said it. It's like, yeah, of course they do that. That's just the sort of thing they do just to mess with people.
Yeah, it's just to find. I wish you could. Yeah. I wish you could tell it to like ignore certain results.
Use Bing search. You might have more luck with that.
Bing. I'm using DuckDuckGo.
No, don't use DuckDuckGo. It's shit now.
What? Use bit. Are we all Bing? Are we Binging it now? Is that it?
Are we Bing?
Yeah. Bing is now the official search engine.
Have a look, Hobbit. See if you can find anything.
Right. Grand Canyon unusual magnetic fields. Oh, I'm using Brave search engine, which is
I've
the magnetic fields.
Crap.
It is a bit crap. I'm going to put my same search result into Bing because, yeah,
that comes up with the same. Let's try Electro.
Videos of Grand Canyon unusual magnetic fields. Bing.com/videos.
Yeah,
but that's also the song, the magnetic fields. Well, hidden portals in Earth's magnetic field. NASA.
Yeah, I just saw that.
NASA.gov.
Do you want to read that?
Yeah.
Do you want to read that and give me a rest for a sec?
All right. A favourite theme of science fiction is the portal, an extraordinary opening in space or time that connects travellers to distant realms. A good portal is a shortcut, a guide, a door into the unknown. If only they actually existed. It turns out they do, sort of, and NASA-funded research at the University of Iowa has figured out how to find them. We call them X-points or electron diffusion regions, explains plasma physicist Jack Scudder of University of Iowa. There are places where the magnetic field of Earth connects to the magnetic field of the Sun, creating an uninterrupted path leading from our own planet to the Sun's atmosphere, 93 million miles away. Observations by NASA's famous spacecraft and Europe's cluster probes suggest these magnetic portals open and close dozens of times each day. They're typically located a few tens of thousands of kilometers from Earth. Wait, you're using miles one and kilometers another? Well, you're going to use qubits next. Where the geomagnetic field meets the onrushing solar wind. Most portals are small and short-lived. Others are yawning, vast and sustained. Tons of energetic particles can flow through the yawn openings, heating Earth's upper atmosphere, sparking geomagnetic storms. What? Just why? They're just both of those terms are superfluous. Just call them storms and igniting bright polar auroras. As opposed to bright equatorial auroras. NASA is planning a mission called MMS, short for Magnetospheric Multiscale Mission, due to launch in 2014 to study the phenomenon. Bristling with energetic particle detects magnetic sensors, the tall space. What has this got to do with the Grand Canyon? Just one problem. Finding them. Magnetic portals are invisible, unstable, and elusive. They open and close without warning, and there are no signposts to guide us in, notes Scudder. Actually, there are signposts, and Scudder has found them, so you're lying. Portals form via the process of magnetic reconnection. Mingling lines of magnetic force from the Sun and Earth crisscross and join to create the openings. X points are where the crisscross takes place. A sudden joining of magnetic fields can propel jets of charged particles from the X point, creating an electron diffusion region. To learn how to pinpoint these events, Scudder looked at data from the space probe that orbited Earth more than 10 years ago. In the late 1990s, NASA's polar spacecraft spent years in Earth's magnetosphere, explained Scudder, and it encountered many X-points during its mission. Because polar carrying sensors similar to those of MMS, Scudder decided to see our next point look to polar. Using polar data, we found 5 samples of combinations of magnetic field and energetic particle measurements. The tests we come across an X-point or electron diffusion region. A single spacecraft properly instrumented can make these measurements. This means that a single member of the MMS constellation using the diagnostics can find a portal and alert other members of the constellation. Mission planners long thought that MMS... you know what? Talking about burnt roast potatoes with gravy and mustard is more interesting than this. Laura fucking Hesketh.
Yeah.
Fat fucking slag. What is Laura Hesketh up to these days? Now that is a mystery.
Probably moaning about stuff on Facebook.
I mean, what's her Grand Canyon up to? What dark secrets lurk within that crevice?
I thought she was kind of fit. Or am I
Was she?
thinking someone else? I
just imagine her to be incredibly fat and obese.
No. Well, she does have mayonnaise
on roast potatoes with gravy.
Yeah. So that's the ghosties. Is there anything else you need to talk about at the Grand Canyon?
Yeah. It's really big.
So why did you put in Hobbit? Why did you put in the world's most gorgeous spots built into cliffs?
Oh yeah, because I thought, you know what? Why don't we do a thing about here's some. Because we're talking about like unusual buildings and hieroglyphs and stuff carved into the Grand Canyon. It's like, yeah, well, how about we just like do some here's some places what are like around the world where people live in cliffs. And I had a look at them, and those places look pretty cool if you ask me. Like, there's a really pretty one in Italy, couple in Malta, some in France. I think there's even some in England.
Is there?
I went to Hastings once, and there was some shops carved into the cliffs there. I asked them what it was like, and they said, well, the main problem is that there's a lot of damp in the area, so they have to, spend money constantly dehumidifying the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had these great big steel pillars to keep the cliffs propped up, and I just thought, I'm all right being here for a little while, but what if one of those were to collapse? Yeah. Then everyone would be dead.
So, do you want to do some unexplained histories? Have you got anything that you just want to talk about a bit?
Yeah, the cliff. Excuse me.
Oh, before that, have you seen Elon Musk's spaceship did a Challenger?
Did it do a poo?
It died. It pooped
it
itself.
Died. It exploded, did it? Killing all on board, and then magically they all appear and.
I think they made jokes about it was a mid-air abort or something like. I can't remember what the phrase they use. People taking the mic.
Did it do a poo in space?
No, it did a poo before it got into space.
Oh.
Oh, SpaceX. Well, you know what? We will have to do an episode on SpaceX, actually. That would be a good episode.
Oh, there's some good stuff on there.
Oh, there's some good stuff on SpaceX. Yeah, there is, yeah. You want to see CGI?
Go on then, YouTube. Do some unexplained mysteries. I've been talking for most of
I want to do the cliff thing, but that means you'll have to show the pictures of the cliff. Oh.
We'll do the cliff thing.
Can I show a picture of Velma Dinkley's arse?
No. It was nice, though.
There is a nice bit. I've got there's a picture of her where she's wearing a thong, and then there's another one where she's not wearing a skirt and she's wearing knickers. Another one where it's in a suggestive pose.
I imagine that Velma Dinkley wears great big white cotton knickers.
Where is?
Yeah, well, funny enough, that's what I'm looking at right now, and she's got this look where she's biting her lip, and I think she'd look better with round frame glass.
Strange Mystery. I can't find them.
Unexplained mysteries.
Unexplained. That's
the unexplained mystery of how a beautiful red-haired, pale freckles Velma Dinkley can be brown-washed and curry-fied.
Oh, Ian's going to be back on because the latest Fortean Times has got Nessie at 90. I don't think I've got mine yet. My new one.
Oh, Nessie's 90 years old.
Yeah.
Getting the pension,
May 1933, so it's 90 years since the 1933 sighting.
What do we got?
I hope the Scottish government are paying Nessie's pension.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, man.
I don't know. I think there's been rather a lot of money gone missing from the Scottish Parliament, hasn't there?
The money was merely resting in Nicola Sturgeon's account.
The treasurer got arrested this morning. The treasurer, Jesus Christ.
Now the money was nearly resting in his account.
Yeah.
Yeah. These aren't things I posted. Where's the thing I posted?
You're not doing unexplained mysteries, Hobbit.
Well, that's I thought, the mysteries of people that live in caves and cliffs. That's a mystery. I can read them out.
Oh, how about this? How about a quote from John Keel? The UFO manifestations seem to be, by and large, merely minor variations of the age-old demonological phenomenon.
Excuse me. Ah, there we go. Written by Becky Kerr, the world's most gorgeous swaps built into cliffs.
How about this one then?
Do
In
that,
April
that's
of
great.
Throwback Thursday, in April of 2021, we visited Hogsback Road in the Northern Kettle Moraine. This road has collected its fair share of urban legends over the years, including a resident goat man said to prey on anyone unlucky enough to find themselves stranded there.
I'm looking at this first one, which is based in Italy, and it's very pretty. It's
Hobbit.
Darnins.
Unexplained Mysteries, Hobbit.
Oh, but
I've got one.
Go on then, Fraser.
Okay, so we've got Glitch in the Matrix. As a dead bird is filmed motionless in the midair.
I think we've done that one before.
Have we done that one?
Yeah.
I don't remember that one.
That's quite old, that one is.
No, this is a new one. This is from February 25th. Oh, it is, yeah, February 25th, yeah. May have done that one then. Oh, okay. Shit. There's not many new ones, is there?
Yeah, if you click on news in the top corner, it could take you straight to
Oh, the news one.
It says UK's first UFO tour set to focus on the site of Britain's Roswell, which I'm not sure I believe in after Ian's episode.
No, I have found one which is Fortean.
Go on then.
Pajama Castle in Slovenia.
Yeah.
Now, the travelogue, unfortunately, is very scant on this, but I know what these sorts of castles are, right? The absolutely majestic Pajama Castle is dramatically carved into the side of a mountain cliff. Its old baron, Erasmus Luger, is said to have built a secret passageway through the cave system in order to siege-proof it. Now, here's the thing, right? It's not really like a thing you can siege, because like where you gonna go and like mount the ramparts, and secondly, it's like these sort of castles exist. If this is the one I'm thinking of, there's not even a kitchen in it, and the idea being that you're not supposed to
on it then.
No, well, it's like, yeah, because it's not designed for like permanent habitation. It's literally like, oh, the demons come out of the cave again. Right, better send some knights in there. So it's not to keep people out, it's to keep the thing in the cave in. That's why it was built.
But now some shit lib will end up going, oh, I want to put a kitchen in it, I'm going to come and live in it.
Well, they might not, because like where are you going to put electricity or gas or whatever?
We've already got the fucking robot demons are taking all over the world, haven't they?
Oh yeah, I suppose, yeah. Excuse me, I'm tired.
Only got 15 minutes to go of it. How about 10 years on, the man who was swallowed by a sinkhole. Back in 2013, Jeff Bush had been sleeping in his bed when a hole suddenly opened and the ground swallowed him up. No one ever saw Jeff again. No trace of him was ever found. Oh, okay, that's...
Sucked off by a sinkhole.
Oh. Yeah.
What a way to go. It's what he'd have wanted, though.
So we ran down the hallway. I flicked on the light and we opened up the door. I guess all we've seen is a big old hole and Jeff was gone, says Jeremy. This is his brother. With little regard for his own safety, he jumped into the hole after him. The floor was still giving in and the dirt was going down, but I didn't care. I just wanted to save my brother, he said, but I just couldn't do nothing. I mean, he could do something then. Didn't it, Hobbit?
Well, in English, a double negative is a real no-no.
Yeah. He said, I just couldn't do nothing. Well, he didn't just do nothing. He did something.
You see, what had happened was...
I could swear I heard him hollering my name to help him. When rescuers arrived, they were able to extricate Jeremy from the hole, but there was no sign of Jeff. Next day, engineers deemed the entire site unsafe. In the end, the house was demolished and the hole filled with gravel. No trace of Jeff's body was ever found. Do you think sinkholes could be monsters under the earth swallowing people up?
There are times when like the ground just goes liquid and things like just get sucked into sinkholes.
Yeah, have you seen the video of this? Holy shit! Yeah, it's weird. It's like a tiny hole, like under in the room, like weird.
Yeah, just the room. Just like somebody decided it was his time. Elon Musk is setting up a new artificial intelligence company. named XAI.
Oh, no.
The new firm will
XAI.
be his attempt to rival ChatGPT.
Can someone like not just call it Skynet and be like done with it? Like fucking, yeah.
Oh, I
I've seen
believe
this film.
they're renaming it to Chaos GPT, and it's currently in the approval process to join the WEF. Because it seems to be its philosophy is like 100% like what the WF want.
There was that thing recently where everybody wanted it turned off, didn't they? Elon Musk was signed onto it, didn't he?
Well, they're not turned off. There's like, yeah, let's do a moratorium on research, and then like, LOL, 1 week later, yeah, let's not do that. Let's just
set up our own.
yeah.
Wait.
Let's just turn this up to 11. That's a good idea.
Can we not just wait until like the AI demons have to battle it out with each other, like in robot form or something? That'd be great.
Oh my God, you told me we're going to get a new series of Robot Wars. Maybe it's worth it.
Yes, maybe, yeah.
Robot Wars, but this time with nukes.
What's his name again? What's the name? Craig, is it?
Hobbit, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it again, Hobbit. The James Webb Telescope captures highly impressive image of Uranus. It was funny last week, and it's still funny this week.
Right, Craig Charles. Right, it's going to be like I have no mouth and I must scream, and he's just going to be like turned into a flesh wall and just like screaming as he's constantly forced to make quips about robot wars.
How much of the Earth's gold reserves have we found, and how much is left? What do you reckon, Hobbit? I would guess.
Move along, nothing to see here, says the suspiciously goblin-looking banker. Your funds are safe, say Nicholas Sturgeon.
Right, if you took all the gold ever mined and made it into a solid cube, the cube would measure 23 by 23 by 23 meters.
Is that it?
Yeah, that is actually pretty close to what I've heard.
Yeah.
That's almost enough to...
Go on then, Hobbit. Due to the density of gold, how much would this cube weigh?
More than 20 tons.
187 tons. You are correct. It was more than 20 tons.
Yeah.
In total, around 57,000 tons of gold is waiting to be dug up from mines around the world, a feat that could potentially be achieved within as little as 20 years.
Fancy that.
Oh, God. Are you doing peak gold now? Are they doing? So what are they doing this for then? Is this to all those idiot preppers that have bought all that fucking gold? They're just going to plunge the price of gold, are they?
It's silver, man. I mean,
silver's more likely to be exhausted because it's used industrially, whereas gold can be easily recycled.
Yeah.
Well, saying that, I mean, we do use it for electronics, so.
What, gold or silver?
Gold.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It could be easily recycled.
True. Right.
Like the old motherboards, like the pre mid-90s ones, they had actually like worthwhile, like, oh yeah, it's actually a good idea to burn this in the fire in the Congo levels of gold in them. And copper. But silver, I mean, mostly it's used for silver nitrate, and once it's in silver nitrate, it is theoretically possible to recover it, like if you use a lot of energy, but the amount of energy means that it's just cheaper to mine new silver. So the amount of silver, it's not like the amount of gold.
Go on then, Hobbit, do this one. You're going to enjoy this story I'll just put in the back chat.
Alright, let's have a look at this.
I've had a flick through
I still want to look at I haven't gone through all the beautiful like cliff places yet. Those are... Oh, fucking new foods for stiff off Easter eggs. What a dickhead. Do you know, I heard a story like this, right? And it was this woman with obsessive OCD, and it wasn't like she'd only drink water, but only if it was like Nestle branded smart water.
Damien wants to see. He said he's looking forward to seeing Ian walk down random people's driveways on the search for Nessie.
Yeah. So it was this woman. She'd only drink smart water, but only if it's served in a glass, but not any type of glass. It had to be like a champagne flute, and only when it was like between 0 and 1 degree, so like almost frozen, but like it not quite. And she'd have to drink it with a special straw. And
Wait, is smart water still a thing?
yeah, the woman that was writing about it says, my mother, this is the OCD woman, has been hospitalised 11 times for severe dehydration. And at that point, I'm just like, just let the bitch die. Seriously? If you have like OCD to the point where it's causing you to die of dehydration, maybe you should die of dehydration.
Yeah,
But how about that
that'll
then?
teach her a lesson.
Imagine being so thirsty, but at the same time going, "Oh no, it's not smart water. It's not between 0 and 1 degrees. It's not in the champagne flute, and it's not with my special straw."
I think her problem is everybody aids her in her fucking delusion, don't they?
Delusion, yeah.
You know, at some point you need to say no, because I imagine this woman, because smart water hasn't existed since when this woman was born.
Yeah.
So like, oh, smart water. Well, that's the only water I can drink from that.
Yeah, but read that story, Hobbit, because I want to hear your incredulity as you read it.
My grandmother was the same. She'd only like drink this like form of magnesium water, and I drank once, but mistaking it for any bottled water, and I was like, "This is the most revolting thing I've ever drunk." She's like, "Oh, that's my magnesium water. It keeps me like healthy." I was like, "Oh, mate, you're drinking." No, I didn't say mate. I said, "Mamie, you're drinking literal poison."
Yeah.
And she said, "Well, you know, it's Epsom salts." And I was like, "Oh, fuck's sake, you don't." You just make a concentrated bath of Epsom salts and stick your feet in it. Anyway, this story. Man throws $200,000 fortune onto busy highway in Oregon. That sounds like Breaking Bad. Like that time where you're just like, oh, I don't like this money anymore, I'm just going to throw it out. A 30-year-old Ashby Keene eats nothing but Easter eggs, and now he's sick to death of them. So stop eating them. Problem solved. For some, the idea of eating chocolate all day long might sound like what the fuck off? But for Keane, who suffers from a lifelong aversion to trying new foods, it's literally just about the only thing he's able to... What? Oh, but you can eat chocolate and bath bomb? No, it has to be an Easter egg.
Yeah.
So what do you do, like when it's not Easter?
Well, you know, the bit that what this twat says. He says, at this time of year in particular, much of his daily intake consists of chocolate Easter eggs, owing to their abundant availability and relative cost-effectiveness. Not only is he fucking spastic, he's also retarded, because it's not relatively cost-effective to eat fucking Easter eggs, is it? It's more cost-effective to eat bars of fucking chocolate.
Is he talking about like when they go on special offer, so he just buys like all the, you know, going off chocolate?
Well, it's going to have to be, because buying at full price ain't cost effective, is it?
I mean, chocolate doesn't really go off, but also it does.
Well, if you get changes in temperature, it blooms, doesn't it?
Yeah, but stale chocolate is not a very nice thing. Oh, so here we go. A sales assistant, so there's a shelf stacker from West Yorks, England. Keane has spent his life eating little more than chocolate, mashed potatoes, and a few types of fruit. So he's more than just chocolate then. So hang on,
mashed potato and fruit. Oh, that sounds like some JFK cooking right there.
Yeah.
I
don't think he has it all together. Maybe he does.
JMK, make it happen. Special request.
Right. Even as a young boy, his parents have struggled to wean him off milk because they're unable to keep anything else. Sometimes, you know how, like in the 19th century and in their modern days, children like this have died before they even got into the mines.
Yeah, this is the curse of the modern society, isn't it? People like this are allowed to live, aren't they?
But instead of like, he's dead. We're having to hear about Ashley Keane from West Yorkshire in England.
Yeah.
Even as an adult, he's unable to expand his diet beyond these few things.
It's like, do you remember that thing that used to be on BBC Three? Was it the picky eater thing?
Am I supposed to feel sympathy for this dickhead? Because I'm annoyed. Look, is this like, this will trigger Hobbit autism?
It's also possible that his condition is more psychological than it is physical. What? No fucking shit, Sherlock.
Look, I'm not Phil, right? But seriously, just put this guy in the gulag. a couple months of starvation, I'll be happy for a hamburger.
Yeah.
It goes on to say, I can't have meals with my 2 kids, so we can't go out family meals and stuff like that. Yeah. This fucking genetic abomination has had the mistake to raise children.
Yeah.
From the start of January through to April, I eat over 250 Easter eggs.
No, he eats over the 250 Easter eggs.
I eat over the 250 Easter eggs. It averages out between 3 and 6 a day, depending on how hungry I get.
When he eats the Easter eggs, does he just eat the Easter eggs and he has to throw the bits you get with them away?
Keane has visited several doctors over the years, but so far has failed to find a... Dickhead.
Well, we know someone whose birthday is today who'd find a solution for it.
I'm
Joe
not.
Rogan.
Joe Rogan's birthday.
I'm not saying gulag, but also I'm saying 6 months gulag. It is also possible.
I prescribe at least a year gulag.
It's well, I'm going to say a year, but gets out on 6 months with good behaviour. And starvation.
Good behaviour being eating whatever's put in front of him and stop being a tit.
Yeah. So, right. Oh, the article goes on to say, right. It goes on to say. It is also possible that his condition is more psychological than it is physical, physiological.
Really?
Excuse me. TK Randall, you're a dickhead, and you need to go 6 months gulag as well. You only get released when you can pass a 11 plus English grammar exam. Oh my god, can you imagine?
I couldn't even do that. I'm fucking going to gulag.
Well, look, all the...
Yeah, but you're not a journalist, Fraser. Only journalists have to pass that.
Only journalists, all right.
You see, Fraser, if you were like... you're not a journalist, therefore no one's expect. It's like for me, for example, I'm a professional driver, so if I was to be like, I don't know.
I've got a fear of driving, but I've got a driving job.
It's like an surgeon with an aversion to blood, or a journalist with the aversion to like using the correct words. It's just 6 months gulag. So
repeating the headline in the first paragraph as well. That's gulag.
And then this is a bit the absolute fucking delusions, and I'm guessing all the doctors are real milquetoast who just like do fuck all. On the outside, I look like a normal 30-year-old, he said, lying through his fucking teeth. It's depressing, but it's something I've always lived with. The amount of chocolate I eat isn't normal. Yeah, I'm not diabetic or anything. How is everything fine?
Fucking hell! How about this? Should we read some of the comments? Because it's called ARFID, or avoidant and/or restrictive intake disorder, and it's considered a severe mental ailment. I mean, not wrong there, pal. That needs the help of a therapist at least, and then a dietitian to find out what nutrients they're missing and how to incorporate them into their diet. No, you don't incorporate them into the diet. They need to change their fucking diet.
Look, stick them in a gulag.
Yeah.
Give him a couple of beans every week to eat, and then when he's like,
"How about Nicolette? How about based Nicolette? I don't believe he's just forced to eat only chocolate Easter eggs. He needs a psychiatrist.
He needs gulag." Oh, Al Pacino.
Al Capone.
What's the name of that guy that was like, the prohibition thing?
Yeah, I know.
That photograph.
Al Capone.
Scarface.
Al Capone, yeah.
Al Pacino.
Al Capone. Oh shit!
Al Capone.
That's it. Al Capone. Al Capone. It's in the name, isn't it?
Oh, Al Capone. Right. Yeah. That's it. He says, I see no diagnosis of any problem in this article. See? What happens with these other things? Capiche? This isn't mentioned either. I fear this is a clickbait, sir. I'm going to put baseball back to his knees. Don't send him to Gulag. Yeah. His location is from Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah.
And then
dead now.
Still Waters, the moderator, who I assume is actually the guy who needs to go to Gulag for his grammar.
Yeah.
What was his fucking name? Just a minute.
Yeah.
TK Randall, right?
Yeah.
Who goes by the name Still Waters, has a picture of a fucking seahorse. By the way, it's the seahorse men that get pregnant because I think that's his fetish. So, Mpreg fetishist journalist Still Waters says, is responding to Al Capone. From the article in my original post, one possible diagnosis is avoid restrictive food intake disorder. Yeah. No, go fuck yourself. No, he's a fussy eater, and no one said no to him.
Yeah.
Look, you just put him into a gulag, make him do forced physical labour, and after a week with no food, say, right, do you want some borscht? Or do you want this bacon sarnie?
Yeah.
Could I have an Easter egg, please?
Reminds me of Woe's pizza 3 times a day diet. That's an alphabet cat. An interdimensional lizard says, let these people starve.
In the words of what's her name, Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake.
Hobbit, do you want to do the one about man narrowly avoided Titanic disaster due to his poor wee finger 111 years ago?
Sorry, I just had an advert blasting in my head. You'll have to repeat everything you just said.
He didn't go on the Titanic because he had a poor wee finger.
Oh, is this like when Chris McFarlane said, oh, I was going to be on that flight at 9/11, but then I had a hangover.
Yeah.
You know, all those people going back in time to try
to be fair, it was a bit more than a poorly finger. Just a few days before its maiden voyage, however, he ended up slicing off one of his fingers in an accident, meaning he had to return to shore at Southampton and go to a local hospital.
Wait, so Al Capone, who's Scarface, was later played by Al Pacino in Scarface.
Not Al Pacino. Robert De Niro.
No, it's not Robert De Niro, it's Al Pacino.
Robert De Niro's talking Italian.
Yeah, but he's not in Scarface. It's Al Pacino. Oh, yeah, but no, I mean, like, the film Scarface, based on Scarface, which is Al Capone.
Not really, it's based on a black and white film called Scarface.
Which was based on Al Capone.
Yeah.
It's a mobster that gets, like, rich on a prohibited substance, which in this case is cocaine, but originally it was alcohol. Oh, you fucking cockroaches. You all look at me and say,
what the fuck? Did you know this one? You know, do you remember that bird that survives all of the mass shootings?
Oh, was she been in another mass shooting?
There's like a Titanic version of her. So this dude says, I hadn't heard of this particular story before. Good article. The Golden Age of ocean liners has a multitude of interesting stories. Violet Jessup was a stewardess who worked for the White Star Line. She was aboard the Olympic when it collided with the Hawke in 1911. She survived the sinking of her sister ship, the Titanic, in 1912. Then she survived the sinking of the third sister ship, the Britannic, in 1916, when it struck a mine as it was serving as a hospital ship in the Aegean.
I have to correct Alphabet Cat's thing. Say hello to my little friend. It's not a bazooka, it's an underslung grenade launcher. You see, he's got his machine gun, and there's a grenade launcher underneath.
It's an M6. It's probably an AR-15, isn't it? With a.
It's got the clipper scene.
Is it a 206?
And it's got the cop killer bullets. What, a Peugeot 206?
Yeah,
no, it's a grenade launcher.
It's got a Peugeot 206 under.
He's got underslung Peugeot 206.
Yeah, that fires.
Is
potatoes,
it the GTI?
That fires potatoes out of the exhaust.
Is that what he says hello to my little friend because the 206 is hot hatch?
Yeah.
We cracked it. We cracked it. Reddit.
Yeah.
We solved the mystery.
Oh yeah, it's like that geezer who survived both atomic bombs in Japan. He lived in Hiroshima and then moved to Nagasaki.
God, he's probably thinking, oh, where next am I going to go live? Oh, this place sounds nice, 3 Mile Island.
Oh, how about this? How about Alpha Q? He says in Vegas, the Luxor Hotel, they have a Titanic display with a huge piece of ship they dragged up from the ocean bottom. There's a sign that says "Don't touch," but you get a chance to touch the Titanic. Screw that barrier. What a fucking Chad.
Ah. Oh.
What else we got in here?
What about the man who throws $200,000 off of a cliff because...
Go on, you seem to want to do that one, Hobbit.
Yeah, it's like... this is a real unexplained mystery, right? Where's the article gone? I was just doing them.
It's
the world's most... Oh, that's a nice place. The Gasthaus Asia in Ebelnelp, Switzerland. The crazy true story. No, did I close the link? Maybe that's what happened. The mystery of where's my missing thing gone. It's there we go. Man throws $200,000 at a busy highway in Oregon. The peculiar stunt not only caused a literal cash grab among the motorists, but also drained his family's entire bank account. Motorists couldn't believe their eyes last Tuesday evening when the 38-year-old Colin Davis McCarthy started throwing wads of cash from his vehicle onto Interstate 5. The stunt quickly turned in a race to grab as much of the money as possible, the motorist pulling up at the side of the road, traffic being slowed to a crawl by the kiosks. When the police arrived on the scene, the culprit explained to the officers, "I'm doing well. I wanted to bless others with gifts of money." Unfortunately, though, the money was used happened to be the entire contents of family shared bank account, a fact which certainly didn't go well down with his relatives. He could have been charged in a situation like this for a danger being created because of his actions, disorderly conduct, potentially reckless endangering, but most likely disorderly conduct, said OSP, no idea what that is, Lieutenant Jim Andrews. The man's family is now appealing to members of the public to turn the money into the police. Yeah. Good luck with that.
Do you remember the Notre Dame blaze that happened completely on its own? It's a spooky story on its own. It was set fire to by a haunted high-vis vest, wasn't it?
No, it was a guy in a white sheet, right?
It definitely did not have anything to do. It's just a coincidence that there's loads of people saying.
This is a throwback story. This is actually 4 years ago. Miraculous bees survived Notre Dame blaze. So
wait, you're telling me the fire happened 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Was it 4 years?
I thought it happened much more recently than that.
Yeah, this is after 3 hives containing a population of over 180,000 bees were left unscathed by this week's devastating fire.
I do remember this story. Yeah.
I just thought I'd put in bees because we were talking about bees yesterday. And
yes, we were.
Doctors find bees feeding on woman's tears. A young woman in Taiwan who complained of a swollen eye was found to have small bees under her eyelid. So you do have little bees that live in you.
So that woman literally ate a bee?
No, it was in her eye.
Yeah,
the insects are believed to be Halicetidae, which more commonly known as sweat bees.
What?
Yeah.
Bees that live on sweat. Oh, whilst we're on the subject of bees, have you heard about these like carrion feeding bees in the Amazon? And they make like a royal jelly substance, which is described as meat, honey meat.
Oh, or my favourite fact, which is if you look at the golden syrup, it's from a passage in the Bible, isn't it? But it's bees feeding on a lion. It's actually on the label.
Well, there's this thing.
What's the golden syrup fucking thing? I'll find it. You talk, Hobbit. No.
All right. So there's this type of bee, and it's in the Amazon, and it feeds on corpses. And when it goes back into its hive, it somehow converts the meat into a sweet substance. And they call it meat honey. So they're saying, is it possible to make like a keto version of honey? It's like, well, technically you can, if what you're making honey out of is this stuff. But you shouldn't eat it because it's it's made from rotting meat.
So it's out of the strong came forth sweetness is the thing on a golden syrup can.
Oh, is that why there's a lion on it?
Yeah, lion. It's a dead lion covered in bees.
Really?
Yeah, hold on, I'll put the image up. So
I mean, I don't...
have a look at that, Hobbit.
Yeah, I don't doubt you. I just I'm trying to remember. It's been a long time since I looked at Lyle's golden syrup can. So
you ever thought of pouring black treacle over sausages of it?
Yeah, mate. It's like people say, "Oh, you should marinate pork in Coca-Cola."
Right.
It's just
so the lion isn't taking a siesta in the sweltering heat of the African savannah. It's been slaughtered and left to rot, and its decomposing carcass has attracted a swarm of bees. I'm sorry. Seymour. So always may. I thought it. Why would a sugar refiner adopt such a macabre logo? The key is in the tagline below it. The phrase comes from the biblical tale of Samson. The story goes that Samson killed a young lion with his bare hands. When he goes back a few days later, he finds bees have made a hive in the carcass, so he helps himself to some honey. Asked by his parents where the bounty came from, he gives the kind of elusive reply you'd expect from a wayward son who's been up to mischief. Out of the eater, something has to eat. Out of the strong, something sweet. A logo linking sugary syrup to honey stolen from the carcass of an animal that's critically endangered. Oh fucking hell! We'll have to be right on about this. In some some areas might seem a little.
They can't let it rest for a single second, can they?
But this is one of those logos that simply can't be changed. Lyle's brand is all about tradition and heritage. Imagine golden syrup with a minimalist flat logo that can easily be reproduced as an app icon. Just no. These are products from a time when baking involved an absurdly complex arcane system of measurements. Apologies to readers in the US, and when nobody gave a hoot about calorie counting or cross-channel marketing. I guess I'll just have to stomach it to finish my Christmas. Oh, that got really right on towards the end, didn't it?
I hate these people.
So anyway, that's
I can't live with them.
So that's treacle. Yeah,
I do like slicing up an apple and dipping it into golden
So anyway,
syrup.
I don't think you said properly about what happens because I kind of sidetracked you. So what's this honey thing?
Yeah, it's literally just bees that feed on meat, and yeah, that's it. End of story. You've got bees, right? But the bees eat meat.
So what's
bees.
the honey like then?
So the people that said it's got a bitter, intense taste.
Oh, okay then.
Because you know it's literally like they feed on rotting meat.
So anyway, when doctors examined it, so back to the woman's eye, they discovered 4 small bees living under her eyelid. Fortunately,
you got bees in your eyelid.
Bees in your eyelid.
No, I've not.
Fortunately,
yeah, you got bees in there. Fuck off, you clout chaser.
Fortunately, they were able to carefully remove the insects without incident. I saw something that looked like insect legs, so I pulled them out under a microscope slowly, one at a time without damaging their bodies, said Dr. Hung Chi Ting. I'm sure that's a joke name.
Ting Wong.
Hun Chi Ting. Hun Chi Ting? Hun Chi Ting.
Some Ting Wong.
Hun Chi Ting.
Wing no work. We crash now.
Who flung dung? According to reports, prior to visiting the hospital, the woman had been pulling weeds from her family's grave when she felt something go into her eye. Initially assuming it to be soil, she watched it out after returning home, but later started to experience swelling and a sharp pain beneath her eyelid.
What's it with people living in these third world countries like, well, just time to have some horrible creature go into my body now?
Yeah, oh yeah, grim. Pesticides found in 70% of all honey from 2017.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you know bees can be left or right-handed?
They don't have hands.
Well, they can be.
So they got bees with hands.
This is a study, Hobbit, so it's got to be true. We believe that these individual The steering bias in bees appear to be evenly distributed between right and left, but with most individuals favouring neither side in particular. Okay, that doesn't show that they're left or right-handed.
Yeah, here's a PhD. Well done, you science based. Yeah, I've got a PhD. How is your knowledge help humanity in any way? It don't. But I've got a PhD now. I'm dead clever.
We believe these individual biases help to improve the flight efficiency of swarm of bees through densely cluttered environments. Professor Mandyam Snirinivasan.
That's a real name.
Flying insects constantly face the challenge of choosing efficient, safe, collision-free routes while navigating through dense foliage. In total, around 45% of the bees were found to display a preference towards to the right or left. To our knowledge, the study is the first to uncover the existence of individually distinct biases in honeybees. Our results show that the population-level bees do not exhibit handedness in choosing routes. However, individual bees display an idiosyncratic bias that can range from strong left bias through... What?
Your dog's getting excited now. It's like, oh, is there some bees I can eat?
Yeah, bees. Can I eat some bees? Or hedgehog?
Yep.
Right, so that's it. I'm done. We're done.
Yeah.
It's been a long one.
Go away now.
Go away now.
Go away.
Stream ended.